So before we get into this episode, I have to say this is a very special episode dedicated to my lovely Torin, who is moving up to the Pacific Northwest to find their beautiful vampire lover, who apparently is not going to be me. Tragic. But I wish you all the best in your Twilight endeavors, and I hope you get a kick out of this episode. Love you, hun.
Welcome to Drunk Librarians, where we talk about all things booze and books. Each episode, we take turns reviewing and summarizing what we've been reading recently. And beware of spoilers. So in each title, there will be which librarian is reviewing and summarizing, and then the title of the book. So if you do not want to know spoilers, please do not listen. And our only rule of this podcast is no throwing up. Hello, and welcome to the pre-show pregame, where we talk about what is supposed to happen in this episode before we are too fucked up to know what the hell is going on. So in this episode, Librarian B is going to be reviewing Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. So get ready for grooming, abusive boyfriends, and glitter. Have fun.
Of three things, I was absolutely certain.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
1, this podcast was the best decision I've ever made. 2, I had a lot of fucking whiskey. And 3, nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
I wondered which one. Yes!
All right, the episode everyone has been waiting for.
Oh, thank God.
Everyone meaning Librarian A and the cats who live here. We're talking about 2020's hit novel, Midnight Sun.
I'm so excited. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
So the first order of business is to get a couple of housekeeping matters out of the way. As a youth, I was Twilight trash.
Okay, which team were you on?
Oh, it's Team Edward all the way.
Cold Boy?
Cold Boy. It was before the concept of Warm Boy had really sunk in. So I read these, I read them before they were cool. Which does not matter. If someone tells you that, it's bullshit. But, like I did.
Did you take them out of the fridge?
I did, but before they were cool enough. They were still a little lukewarm to the touch, if you will. But I remember they were starting to get popular, and like a couple of people were reading them, and I just heard like these were really good. So I took them home one weekend after school, and I was like on the couch, and I'm like, oh my god, it was amazing. So that is my background, and I have to say I did read these very young. And so I know that's why our Twilight experiences were very different.
Oh, yes, I read them as an adult.
No, I read them in 6th or 7th grade. I was like in middle school.
See, if I would have read them, then I would have eaten that shit up.
Oh, I ate it up with spoon and all. I was into it. And I will always remember, like, I had this, like, full-length mirror in my room because I was cool. And I had my...
Is that what makes people cool? I never had one.
I think Lizzie McGuire had one, so I had one.
Damn that Lizzie.
And I had my dry erase markers, and I had, like, all these different colors. Like, yellow was for vampire lore, and,
oh my God.
From, like, Twilight. And then red was, like, from vampire lore in general, and, like, blah, blah, blah. I had all this shit, like, red-stringed.
I am not surprised.
And I will never forget my long-suffering mother had written, like, because I had all these things like, fact, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, fact, moms aren't super crazy when their daughters write this much stuff about vampires on their mirror. And I was like, You just don't understand, Mom. Cool. I always liked weird shit, but I think she was like, bitch, slow the fuck down.
Okay, you're obsessed now.
And so my Twilight journey ended, is it 2009? Whenever the Twilight movie came out. I don't know, 2008, 2009, somewhere around there.
It was a year after 2000.
Correct. Absolutely.
Before 2021.
Correct.
Thank you.
Your insight is valuable as always.
Oh, thank God. Yes.
My friend and I were so excited. We lived in this tiny town, but we did have a movie theater. It was so exciting. And we went to go watch Twilight when it came out. And I emerged from that theater, from the dark into the sunlight, blinking at the sun as we walked out. And I said...
As we vampires do.
Vampires can't walk in the sun, bitch. Why would you think...
What if you have sunblock?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that. In case... Actually, I don't... Okay, hold on. But, sorry, two trains of thought there.
Sorry.
I walked out and I was like, is this the garbage I've been reading for years? And
it's just the movie version.
The movie was so bad, I could not read the books. And I tried, because I was like, no, I want to get back to that, because I loved them so much.
So you hadn't finished reading the books?
No, I had. I had read them all.
Are you going to read them again?
Oh, I'd read them several times. I was obsessed. I had the box set. I just read them over and over. And then the movie came out, and I was like, hell yes. And then I was like, anytime I tried to read it after that, I couldn't. And so I was like, all I could picture was just garbage. And I couldn't do it. So Midnight Sun was the first time I have entered the Twilight world since junior high. So it's a big step. It's been so long.
10 years. Or 12. 20?
You're so kind.
I don't know.
Well, some say I have an eternally youthful look.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so that was the other thing I was going to say. I don't think we've actually mentioned it on the podcast, but Librarian A has a theory that I am a vampire.
Yes.
That she spouts at work all the time.
All the time.
And to be fair, we live in a part of the country where I may very well be hunted for sport one day because of this.
Not just that.
Not just that, but
we may both
could be a contributing factor. We are loose women with questionable morals. Yes. And sometimes you can see my ankles in the workplace.
I mean, garlic made you sick.
That was hilarious. I had to text you that. I'm like, as I'm like hugging the toilet, dying. I'm like, so I ate garlic and now I have food poisoning. And you were like, vampire?
Bitch!
I knew it. So, okay, Midnight Sun is basically Twilight from Edward's perspective.
I am so excited because I want to know everything from his perspective.
Well, then you should just read the goddamn book, because I didn't write everything
down.
No,
I don't want to.
I have to say, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I stopped myself from reading it so I could savor it. And I'm like... You were like, oh my God, is it good? And I'm like, probably not, but the nostalgia is just, I'm living for it. I'm living for it. But I'm gonna be honest, it brought back some issues that I had with Twilight from the beginning, which was mostly, why the hell would anyone, an immortal being with a wealth of cash and knowledge, be like, sorry, we're gonna spend the eternity in high school? Like, that's just bullshit.
Why didn't they just go to college?
They could just go to college if they want to be like, yeah,
there's all kinds of ages in college.
All kinds of ages. We homeschool our kids. Done.
Or that.
Done. We homeschool our kids or go to college. You can get like a degree in everything. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You go out in the sunshine and you're sparkly. You went to the rave last night too. Wasn't that bitchin'? Yeah. Because I don't think kids say bitchin' anymore. Jesus. Anyway.
We don't have to be cool. I wasn't cool when I was... Teenagers didn't think I was cool when I was a teenager. I was at home playing Sims.
I've literally...
In World of Warcraft.
I was at home rereading Twilight.
I was playing World of Warcraft. You know, I could probably... Never mind.
No, I'm not allowing you to indulge in any World of Warcraft.
I could download it.
No. Because I know what it does to you.
I don't know if our audience knows this.
You don't need it.
It's an addiction.
It is.
My father let me miss 2 days of high school when the expansion came out so I could just play it all day. God bless my dad.
Your dad is amazing. Your dad is super amazing.
I played it vanilla, without any, like, expansions. And the first expansion came out, my dad was like, Dad, he was like up all night playing Call of Duty, so he's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, I'll give a
Anyway, back to vampires.
Vampires in high school.
Addiction never ends.
Oh, you and World of Warcraft worry me. But what worries me more is being a teenage girl stalked by an immortal being.
Does he talk about how he gets in her bedroom?
Through the window.
What, not how, but like, does he talk about the thought
Yes, so...
process?
So...
That was my...
Here is the thing.
Yes.
As a youth, this was the first even remotely romantic thing I ever read. Ever.
Did you think it was romantic at the time?
Yes. As an adult,
Yes.
I have a different view of it.
I can see the difference.
Yes, as a child, I was like, as someone who very much related to Bella, I was very clumsy, very plain.
Same.
I loved to read classics. I had nothing of interest about me.
Same.
And the fact that, look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm a monster fucker. Okay.
Yes.
And some people just don't get it, but I'm like, dude, monsters are sexy.
Well, I know you think this.
Well, yeah. Why not? Why not? So the idea that some immortal supernatural being could take an interest in me.
The clumsy plain.
The clumsy plain girl who has nothing of interest
The
about
clumsy plain nerd.
And someone who's been on this planet who's learned all these things and had so much time is like, you are interesting? Oh my god, I was sold hook, line, and sinker. As an adult, I'm going, excuse me, she is 17.
You're 1,200 years old.
I did the math. Here's a mathematical equation in my notes. He is 108. She is 17. That is a 91-year difference. I'm sorry. I'm not 108, but if you showed me a 17-year-old, I would be like, that is an infant. I have no romantic feelings towards that child. So to be 108 and go like, yeah, I'd tap that. No! No!
Yeah, I tap that.
No! There's nothing about that. That's okay. And so the first time they meet, so so Edward can read minds.
Oh, yeah.
He can read minds. God bless. And he all day has seen this girl's face in everybody's mind. Because there's a new girl in a tiny town. That's all anybody's thinking about or talking about. And they're like, hey, she's kind of sort of hot. And we've already seen all the girls here. This is a new shiny toy. And he's like, oh my god, people are so petty and boring. Why must we endure high school? And I'm like, fuck if I know, man. And he sees her in, like, Dreamweaver starts playing, and it's super like, bow, chicka, wow, wow, nice. Then they go to biology. This is the first time they really meet in biology class with the golden armadillo.
The armadillo, the golden onion.
And the armadillo, the vanishing armadillo.
Yes.
And she walks in, and the fan blows her hair, and he smells her. And
he smells her hair?
Scent. Take that. Her over.
Vagina.
All of her. Whatever.
I don't like that.
Wherever her scent is emanating from. This is what you get for all the spilling of seeds in your stupid fucking Bridgerton episode.
You're getting a mouthful of, like, vagina scent, like, oh yeah.
I could get into that. Yeah, so he's like, well, I have to kill her now so I can taste that sweet nectar.
Not vagina juice, her blood.
Could be both. I don't know. I think it's blood. I don't know, and I'm afraid to ask. So he literally spends their biology class thinking of all the ways that he would kill her and her classmates, and he's like, we're just gonna have to fucking move because I've never wanted to eat something so bad in my life. There's gonna be a lot of this, man. There's gonna be a lot of this. I don't know how to... And quite frankly, that whole sequence was really upsetting, not for the reasons that Librarian A is laughing at, but he's talking about, like, I mean, I don't want to kill all these kids I go to school with, but I kind of have to. And given the world today, it was just a little too close to home, to be honest.
Got
but I was
it.
like,
I'm just thinking of the movie.
Yes,
where they're
I know.
like, he's like, ugh.
I know, he makes that face like he's like throwing up in his mouth a little.
And she's like, oh.
Like, why are you such a dick? What's up with this guy? He's like, oh, she smells so good. I just want to.
It's not the face I thought he was making. Like,
No, like literally nothing about the movie is
so.
I don't know what was happening.
Which I do want to say that I have read most of the Twilight books.
Yeah, which
Just as an adult, which was
gives
a
you
different
the perspective of going, girl, run, run from this boy.
leaf.
Anyway, he decides not to kill her. He makes it through class, and he's like, yippee, gold star for me. Didn't kill anyone today. And I'm
Just
like,
got the rest of my life
just gotta keep
till she graduates.
keep on trucking. So he runs away for like a week. And in Twilight, Bella's like, what the hell, man? That was weird. He tries to transfer out of the class, and she walks in there at the same time, and she's like, do I need no deodorant? Like, what the hell? And then he disappears for a week, and she's like, okay, this is a weird town. I just moved literally across the country, but cool.
I do have to say, if there was like a really hot, like, I just imagine them being like the popular table.
Yeah.
Like
Too
really
good-
hot.
They're too good to talk to anybody
Too
else.
good. And like I sat by him in a class and he was like, like making that face. I'd
Yeah.
be like, whatever. I don't even know if I would even think it was me why he was gone.
I probably just think like he was like an asshole, but I guess because he was like, I don't know, he kept staring at her in a weird way, I think. I don't know.
That's weird.
But so the fun part was with Midnight Sun, you got, since you got Edward's perspective, you got to see where he went and what he did while Bella's like, what the fuck? bro?
Okay, so what did he do?
He went up to Alaska where they used to live, and they had some vampire friends up there. He went to crash on their couch and like kill some Kodiak bears or whatever for dinner. And he was like, this girl just moved next door and she smells so good.
So gross.
And I just want to like...
I don't imagine that happening at her neck or her wrist. And I'm just like, ew.
So he comes back and he's like, hey. Sorry about that.
Hey.
And she's like, your eyes are a different color. And he's like, no, they're not. I gotta go.
They're not different when I eat blood.
I mean, crud. You got any Cheetos?
I mean, vagina. Can I eat your vagina? I'm sorry.
I mean, you smell real nice. So, and then she almost gets crashed by the car or whatever, and she's already...
Oh, yeah.
She's, like, suspicious of this dude, and then he, like, stops a full fucking, like, van from crushing her. And the only reason he does that is because he's like, damn it, like, if she dies over here and she gets crushed into a pile of bloody goo, I'm gonna have to lick up that pile of bloody goo, and then people are gonna be like, what's Colin doing over there? That's a little weird. And then we're gonna have to kill the whole goddamn town. I know, I just picture him, like, as one of my cats at, like, the water bowl, like, that's nice. And his family's just over there like, God, we can't take him anywhere. All right, you guys start killing the townies. I'll kill the people on the country, all right? So, and then she's like, ooh, handsome, thank you, stranger. And I don't know, he's like stalking her through everybody else's minds to keep an eye on her. Because he's fascinated. He's never felt this way about a human before. He's just like, these guys are boring. They all smell
In
the
his
same,
108 years.
He's never found people interesting or he was never like, nobody's ever smelled this yummy.
He's a late bloomer.
I guess so. So he like follows her around through people's heads, and can you imagine how awful it would be to be able to read minds in a high school?
I did wonder if it talked about that. Like
it doesn't. It just talks about how like all these other kids have crushes on Bella.
Like the...
And she has, like the guy from the movie.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he has a huge crush on her, and like how she does not realize that anyone has a crush on her at all, because she's stupid.
I get it.
I'm like...
As a clumsy, plain, stupid person.
Yes.
Though people used to be like, when I was a young lass.
So close.
They were flirting with you. I'm like, oh my god, really?
No, they weren't.
Like, I was just talking. Like, that was like a thing. I didn't know. Like, fuck.
I'm pretty sure no one's ever flirted with me. But I guess I'm not a reliable narrator.
When you're telling your own story, you're never a reliable narrator.
Yeah, you would know all your fucking books about people who were like, this happened, except it didn't. That was in the other timeline. We're 40 years in the future, and I married an alien, except aliens aren't real, and I'm really your brother. That's like every goddamn book you read.
Oh my god, have you read that book?
Oh, that's the next one, isn't it? Damn.
It's this one.
Oh, fuck. Midnight Sun was a lot longer than Twilight, which I kind of loved because I didn't want to leave the nostalgia world. And it accounts for Edward's absences, and then like when they chase down the bad guy at the end. I mean, the story is the exact same as Twilight, just from his perspective.
So does it talk about like his view of Jacob?
Yes. Now, Jacob doesn't feature a lot in Twilight. He's just kind of like this guy who she's kind of friends with because she knew like when she used to stay there, and like their dads are friends. But
he didn't really interact with him a lot during the first book.
No, it was pretty much just like, you know, it was interesting to see his perspective, like when Billy, Jacob's dad, would come to visit because he could read his mind, and he was like, fuck, she's dating a fucking vampire. Does she know she's dating a fucking vampire? We gotta stop this. Like, she's in danger. Like, all this stuff. And she's like, I want that vampire dick, man. Leave me alone.
Do you think his dick is cold?
Yes. I think it's like a fucking icicle. Is it always hard?
Is it? Because, like...
I don't know.
Okay, because you need the blood in there. Wouldn't that make it warm?
It's venom. And I wish I was making that up. That is the actual explanation given. Because I remember before Breaking Dawn came out, and all us little Twihard girls were like, what do you think's going to happen in the next book? And someone's like, oh, I think now that they're married, they're going to have a baby. And I'm like, no, they're fucking not. He's dead. Tell me how that works. Explain that biology to me. I was like in like 7th grade going, come on.
Dear Stephanie,
I need dick explanations of how pregnancy is going to work.
Explanation.
And then she fucking did it, and I was so pissed off. I was like, no, that's not how any of this works, but whatever.
Yeah.
I have to say the Mormon jumped out a lot more in Midnight Sun than it did in Twilight. Because
that was another thing I already knew whenever I read it the first time, and I was like, ooh.
I just remember thinking, like, she gets...
Like, as a not-religious person, I was like, okay.
Ooh. I just remember always thinking, like, she gets dressed to meet his family, and she picks the long khaki skirt, and, like, the polo shirt, and she goes for a low ponytail, and I have seen, like, maybe... yeah, I was like, I've seen maybe one person in the world pull off a low ponytail.
It was not me.
No. I look like a fucking founding father. I look like an extra in Hamilton. Like, I can't do it. And I just remember thinking, like, I hate low ponytails. I did that just for you. You're welcome.
I'm so happy.
I have made a Hamilton reference once in my life.
No!
I will not be doing that again. I hope you're paying attention.
Okay.
But I, like, as someone who hates low ponytails and hates polo shirts, I'm like, don't you want to look, like, nice? And then she walks down the stairs and he's like, you're just too ravishing to be allowed. And I'm like, yeah, the polo really does it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But like, look, Bella wants that vampire dick. She's like, look, I've never banged anybody, but you're hot, I'm hot, let's do this. And he's like, I just think that we should wait till marriage. And I'm not comfortable like doing that. And I could hurt you. And we should be married before that. And I'm like...
But he does hurt her because she's like covered in bruises when they actually fuck, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's just like, oh my god, bruise.
I don't know. I haven't read it in forever. I just remember that she ate eggs a lot, and I thought that was super weird. She like had scrambled eggs like every meal.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That's all I remember.
I just remember like all the bruises.
I'm like, who the hell bought this many eggs to have this many scrambled eggs on your like vacation honeymoon? I don't know. I thought it was super fucking weird.
That's a good point.
But so...
I mean, he can run really fast. Maybe he's like catching like bird eggs and shit.
He's like one of those games where like you have to stand under it and catch, like, oh, don't catch this, you'll lose. You gotta catch this one.
Gotta catch this for my pregnant wife.
My fucking alien vampire baby. It gave you more insight into the vampire world, which was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it did make up like random vampire lore. They're like, this is what happens. But to be honest, like a lot of what we have, Bram Stoker made up. Like we get a lot
I do love vampire lore.
I mean, Bram Stoker made up a lot of it. I do love like the stuff that we took from like reality, from like cultures, like from like actual legends and like actual vampire myths. But Bram Stoker took a lot of that and was like, what if we did this? And a lot of the stuff we believe today came from Dracula. So like, I mean, if you could,
that's like the main vampire thing, right? Like everything,
a lot of it stems from Dracula. Now, of course, vampires predate that, but like our modern interpretation. I did also make a note here that to tell you about. I wrote a paper in college when we were reading Dracula, and I compared Dracula and the Lost Boys and how they filled the same niche of like you had your crew of light fighting the evil vampire and like all this stuff. Like I wish I still had it. That was fun. So the storyline itself is the same, so that's why I'm not really talking about the story as much. If you haven't read Twilight, I don't know, good for you. You're living a life purer than I am. But the extra tidbits were the fun part. So you get to see Alice's visions a little bit, because Edward can read minds.
So he can see her visions.
Yeah, he can always see what Alice sees as she sees it. And so...
Did they do that in the movie? Like, did she have to tell him her visions?
No, he could see it, and then he would explain it to everybody else. Because everybody else was like, I hate when y'all two were like looking at each other, like, what the fuck's going on? But it was kind of neat to see they did the cleanup. So they go, short summary, crazy vampire shows up at the really cringy baseball game. And he's like, she smells good. I guess I'll track her for the rest of my life and have a nice little good old snack. And he's like, no, that's my girlfriend. One day I'm going to marry her so I can have sex with her because that's the only way that'll work. And
the baseball thing was hard for me.
It was fine in the book. In the movie, that is a difficult thing to watch.
It's hard to make people, like, walk really fast.
And not make it look like fucking Monty Python's going on. I mean, it is. They're like, I will always think of, like, the riff tracks where he's, like, running up the mountain, like a fucking carnival music or whatever. Because that's what it looks like.
I felt the same thing when was it, like, 2009-ish? Or, God, I don't even fucking know. 2011, I don't know. Anyway, whenever, like, the Superman came out. And I was like... They're gonna make, like, it's hard to make someone flying, like,
not look ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, it always does. It always does. So that was hard, but it was kind of cool because, so vampire guy's like, she smells good, I'm gonna follow her forever. And so you get to see Edward's perspective of, like, while she's having to go into hiding while they're hunting him down, and how that kind of, like, they're tracking him and hunting him and all this stuff. And then they go down to Phoenix after she's, like, in the ballet studio sacrificing herself because she's a dumb bitch. You get to see Alice's visions of, like, because she can only see something once it's been decided. So once I make a decision, like, I'm going to talk about Midnight Sun on the podcast, she can see all this happening.
But what about us, like, people who are like, I'm going to do this, no, and then later, no.
Then you see the changes. So if I'm like, I'm going to do Midnight Sun, she sees this future, and then I'm like, or I'm going to do this one. Okay, then she sees that one, that changes.
Okay.
Or if I'm indecisive, it's all kind of hazy. So, but Alice shows us, like, the cleanup process of how they build this cover story of what happened to Bella in Phoenix, aka she fell out of the hotel window.
So like for her dad and her... Yeah. Okay.
So you get to see them build the cover story, and she's like, all right, I'm going to need to go to the blood bank. I'm going to need to get this kind of blood, because that's Bella's kind of blood. And then I'm going to need to do this. And you, like, see all of it.
Holy shit!
And it's so cool. And then she's like, wait, no. Okay, go back. I'm going to need to get a watch from this guy so I can ask him, blah, 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 to make it believable. She's going to need to steal a bag so she can come into this hotel and make it look like she's building
that's really cool.
That was honestly probably, like, my favorite part. And I'm like...
That is really cool.
I'm like, where was Alice's story? Why isn't she dating Bella?
I would read this from her point of view, and honestly, if it was like a her and Bella thing, oh my God, I'd be here for it.
Edward is a mopey loser. Alice is a vision. Get it?
I get it.
So I would love to see that. I would also like to see, like, a full book dedicated to Rosalie's story, because it's fucking horrifying, but, like, her vengeance would be like,
yeah,
chef's kiss.
Also, I think reading it as an adult, I saw it from her dad's point of view.
Yeah.
It's like
seeing it from her dad's point of view is like, what the hell is wrong with my kid?
I know.
What is going
on? And she's
on?
like screaming, like waking up, and I'm thinking, okay, I saw myself as him because first of all, like there's the beer and sports watching, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
I can get it.
Like, does Bella need a stepmom?
I got first dibs on Charlie because that boy's fine. I don't know. It was kind of interesting because you could see her mom too. Her mom comes to visit her in the hospital and everything. But I never actually answered your first question. I'm so sorry. But was why Edward's thought process on sneaking into her room every night.
Yes.
She kept attracting danger everywhere she went.
Even sleeping.
He was terrified that, like, oh my god, if I leave her unattended, like, someone's gonna break into her house. She's gonna, like, find one of Charlie's guns. She's gonna fall down the fucking stairs. Everywhere she goes, she's like, I almost got hit by a car. I almost got mugged and raped going to the bookstore. I almost did this. I almost did this. And he's like, would you just fucking sit still for 2 seconds? And I'm like, okay.
So you watch her while she's sleeping.
I'm like, that is... He tries to justify it as protection, but he also doesn't believe it at the same time. He's like, no, this is really weird. I should not be doing this. And I'm like, listen to that part of your brain, bitch.
He knows it's weird, but he still does it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one time she says his name in her sleep, and he's like, oh my god, like, maybe she likes me. But maybe she doesn't. And he spends the whole time like, I'm a monster. I'm not worthy of her love. And that's why he's like, you need to see me as I am. And he takes her out into a field and like fucking sparkles. And he's like, this is it. This is when she's going to run away and I'm going to lose her forever. But better to lose her forever than...
But she's like me. She's like a raccoon. She's like, oh, sparkly.
Sparkle.
Yay.
He's like, you like shiny rock.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm a monster. I could kill you. And she's like,
shiny rock.
Shiny rock.
I get that.
So that's Bella being a dumbass. The biggest, like, I don't know. I feel weird about this because, like I said earlier, they created their own vampire lore, which, hey, fine, whatever. The problem is that Stephanie Meyer also did the same thing with, like, the Quileute tribe, which is a real tribe. It's not a made-up thing like vampires. So she stole Quileute heritage and legends and real cultural practices and was like, okay, those are kind of neat, but what if, like, they did this? And completely bastardized their actual traditions, their actual legends, their actual histories. Did not change the name of the tribe, did not, ask permission, consult with any actual members from the tribe, did a couple Google searches and was like, that's kind of fun. This. And did the Quileute tribe, who only has like 700 members, get any kind of compensation for the use of their histories? No, none at all.
And how much money did she make from all this bullshit?
She could have paid each of those 700 members an obscene amount of money. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that the Quileute tribe right now they have a fund to move their school to higher ground because they are in a flooding tsunami zone and they just need to move to higher ground. So I'm putting that
She's
out there.
ignoring it.
Yes.
She's like, yeah, I'm going to steal your shit, but you need help? Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. So people are trying to spread the word about that.
Okay.
So I'm doing my best to help that part as well. I just can't imagine. I mean, you're literally like stealing someone's culture, and like they had wolf legends, and she was like, "That's kind of fun. What if they were like werewolves?" Okay, no. On a happier note, Edward is frequently referred to as dazzling. She's like, oh my gosh, you're dazzling. Dazzling. Because the way people react to him sometimes, because it is interesting to think about how you look human, but there's something about you that's not quite right. And I don't know what that is, but somewhere in my primordial soup, in nerves or brainage somewhere, my subconscious is going, that's not right.
Really? What is it?
I don't know. But
not me.
Not
I was like, really? Oh my god!
Not you specifically, dumbass. The fucking vampire.
Oh yes, the book you're talking about. Yes.
Hi.
I thought you were talking about me.
I dazzled you.
You did.
I dazzled you, and so people will kind of get like caught up in him, Because
Okay.
he's like a predator. So think of it as like,
Ooh.
he is.
Oh.
I mean, I know what you're thinking, which is kind of accurate to the book too, but generally speaking, a vampire is a predatory animal if you want to go down that route. So he's handsome and he has a nice voice and something about him draws you to him, but something in the back of your mind is going,
Something's
this
wrong.
is not right.
Oh God. He's like the serial killer.
Yeah,
The handsome one that everyone's
Bundy.
like, oh my, yes!
exactly.
He's Ted Bundy.
Everybody's like, he's really nice, they're really quiet, he keeps to himself, he's really handsome. Like, because you get to read everybody's minds and everybody's like, he's really, you're like, oh my gosh, he's handsome. Or they're kind of like flirt or whatever, and he'll either entertain it or he won't. But I mean, really, yeah, he's a serial
my
killer.
mind is blown.
Yeah, he's a serial killer.
like
Before he moved,
Ted Bundy.
yeah, before he moved into this family, he was using that power to kill people. Now, he did, like, Dexter it, so he killed bad people. Which, I mean, if you gotta kill people, I mean...
Yeah, but Dexter wasn't, like,
I didn't watch it.
charismatic.
I didn't watch it, but I just
He
know,
was
like,
like-
Dexter killed bad people.
Yeah, like awkward and a nerd. I was, like,
Yeah.
really into Dexter.
But, like, this guy was going around killing, like, serial killers and rapists.
Okay.
Because he could read their minds, and he was like, boop, 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 I love to serial kill people, and he was like, I'm gonna have that guy for dinner.
Okay.
But, yes, so everything about him is made to be attractive, because it's, like, think of the fish that glow in the dark at the bottom of the ocean, and everybody's like, oh, shiny! And
Oh,
then
the thing that has a thing.
yeah! And you're like, oh, shiny! And then it goes, yep, that's it. Yeah, it's all coming together. But he's like, wow, this 17-year-old girl is so cool.
She smells good.
She smells yummy.
She doesn't use fake tanner and smell like that and have orange.
My heart! Oh, good. So my last question, my thing on here, would you want a vampire boyfriend?
No.
It's not worth it.
Well, because I do not want to live forever.
Oh, no, you don't have to be a vampire. Do you want a vampire boyfriend? Are there perks with that? I don't know. I would not be willing to give up garlic. That's not a life worth living, in my opinion.
He would have a vampire boyfriend or a girlfriend. I don't know.
But I'm like, is the vampire nature worth it?
But if I
like, are there
ate
advantages?
garlic, then I wouldn't have to, like, be around them.
Be like, oh, you wanted to
Sorry.
make out? Oh, I just had garlic bread. That's so awkward.
I'm gonna go to the theater room because we're rich.
Of course. Also, I always had this one question when I was reading Twilight, and Stephanie Meyer answered it one time, but I thought she answered it in a really dickish way. Because somebody was like, well, dude, what happens when Bella's on her period? Because that's what I was wondering. I'm like...
Dude, he could just eat that.
Right? I was like...
Free meal.
I'm
That's
like-
like a free appetizer when you go to a restaurant.
Yeah. You want some chips and salsa? Here you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And I was like, that's a question I always had. And I will never forget Stephanie Meyer answered this on her website once, way 800 years ago. I don't keep up with her now. I don't know if there's a new answer, and I don't fucking care. But she was like, ew, gross. And that's how she started it. And I'm like, excuse me?
That's a natural thing. That's
a
not
natural
you gross.
thing. It's a
Man,
real
fuck
thing.
that bitch.
I know. I just never got over that. And
No.
her whole answer was like, well, it's like dead blood. It's not like the same, so nobody, like, he wouldn't want it. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, you want a tampon sickle?
So you're telling me it's dead blood. So if she's dead laying on the floor, he wouldn't want it because she's dead.
I think that kind of defeats the point of
That's
any vampire story I've ever heard.
No, fuck that bitch. I don't accept it.
I don't
I
either.
think it's like an appetizer.
I'd be like, okay, so yeah, you can't suck my blood, but like,
Do you want this? Like,
What?
do you want me to freeze my tampon and have
A
like a
little
popsicle?
popsicle.
I mean, a vampire, why not?
I mean, it makes sense to me, so I don't.
I mean, if I was a vampire and
it's a hot summer's day.
I'd do it.
Well, popsicle.
Yeah.
Delicious.
You know, whatever.
Oh my god, you got a little cup. It's a little lemonade.
I know. That's what I was just thinking. I'm
I
like, boop, boop, boop. Put some ice on it.
It's a Bloody Mary.
Oh my god, it is.
We'll be here all week. All right, we talk about periods a lot on the show. I've
We
realized.
do. But I do have to say, just a quick little thing.
Yes.
Is that whenever I read the books,
Yes.
it was about the same time. Okay, so I've always seen this thing like being a fan of something shouldn't be stressful. You don't have to know like every actor
Yes.
or whatever.
Just enjoy what you enjoy.
Yes. I used to not be that way. And it was like, I shared this thing and it was like, oh God, 15 years ago, where it was like, oh, you like Hunger Games? Tell me who this character is. And every time I see that, and I keep it, like, on my Facebook, because I'm like, you do not have to know every little thing. And I used to have these posts that would, like, trash Twilight. Mm. And I keep them because I'm like, people should be able to like what they want. And people read things at different times. Where they're like, I love this shit. So, I mean, okay, I love to talk trash.
It's fun.
I love to talk shit about stuff. Like, I could talk another episode about crawdads.
Oh, absolutely.
Where the crawdads sing. But somebody may read that at a time in their life where they're like, this speaks to me. Yeah. I like it.
Well, I mean, let's just face it.
And that's
in your
the whole
life,
thing. You should have fun. You should read fun things.
If it speaks to you, it speaks to you. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Exactly.
And so that's why sometimes I have a hard time with like, oh, you have to read this bestseller. It's so good. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's great that it means something to you. If this spoke to you and that made you feel something,
that's
great.
awesome.
That's what art is for. If I want to read trashy Twilight books because it makes me relive my junior high days, and my eyeliner and Hot Topic Twilight hoodie my grandma got me, then that's great. But I mean, like, we've all done that.
But I do have to say, if you know, maybe you're not gonna, and if we're at the end now.
We're at the end of this episode.
But
maybe you're not gonna listen to this episode.
You're not gonna listen to this episode because you're like, ew, Twilight, that's fucking stupid. But at the same time, it's like, you may read it now and be like, your high school, junior high person is like, oh my god, like,
I know, because reading this, like,
he like went in her house, like, I don't know, like, yeah, it's creepy, but you never know, like, what's gonna
sit with you, like, because I'm like, reading this as an adult, I'm like, girl, this is flat out abuse. Like, he is stalking you. You're not allowed to go anywhere without him. He doesn't want you to talk to these people. Like, bad.
Red flags.
That's one half of my brain reading this. The other half is like, oh my god,
I know,
it's so cute.
Does he like her or does he not? Oh my god.
He like likes her, and I guess just like as the plain nerdy girl, I just hearing something from like, and this is very heteronormative, but that was my childhood. There was no other options as a child.
Yeah.
To have like the boy likes the girl, that was unheard of in fiction. The girl always likes the boy, and she's never good enough, and then she gets a makeover and takes off her glasses, and suddenly she's worthy of his attention. She's pretty and
worthy of the man.
Exactly.
And now it's like, she's a nerd, and she's plain, and she's clumsy, and
she
it's
doesn't
like,
change anything about herself, and this
you relate to her.
It's
and he's gorgeous and rich, and you're like, oh my god.
So it's very,
I totally get it. I do.
It's very easy to look back on it and go, here's everything that's wrong with it, because there is, make no mistake, there's so much wrong with all of this. But at the time, it was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, where is the Bella Alice book that I wanted needed as a youth? That's what I want to read. And that's what I still want to read.
Same.
So Team Alice all the way.
Team Alice.
Team Alice.
And Warm Boy.
Oh, he looks so warm.
All right.
Now I'm cold all the time. I'm like, fuck that. He's cold. I don't want to hug from.
I don't want to.
Where's the werewolf boy? He's warm. I'm so
also
goddamn cold.
And also, maybe you hated this stuff in the past, but people can like. I don't know. I'm like really on this right now.
I know.
Because hearing it from you, somebody who really enjoyed it, I'm like hyped up about it.
Oh, but I went through the huge Twilight hate phase. Like, oh my god, who still reads Twilight? Grow up.
And I see those posts.
Harry Potter over Twilight any day. That was.
Yes.
I mean, like, that was a whole thing.
It was very, like, Harry Potter versus.
Yes, it was always like, you could not like both. How dare you?
I know. And so now I'm, like, hearing it from someone who is really into it, and is someone who, like, shared this stuff 15 years ago, and I'm like, you know, I'm so glad, oh god, I'm glad I'm not like that anymore.
Yeah.
So all the books that I trash, if you like it, good for you. Like,
I know, that's the thing, I'm like, everybody likes what they like. I have no moral judgment about what you like. You like some shitty songs? I don't care. I don't like them.
I love trash.
I know.
I love trashy music. I love apparently trashy books and trashy TV. I mean, come on.
You watch some shit, I'm like, what the hell is that? But you know what? I don't gotta watch it. It makes you happy.
I know.
Good.
Yeah.
Do what you love. Fuck the rest.
Fuck the rest.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you
for listening. New episodes whenever the hell we feel like it, because life is unpredictable and so are we.
For more Drunk Librarians shit, find us on Twitter and Facebook.
We rarely ever check them, but feel free to send us a message and we may see it in about 20 years.
Please drink responsibly.
And remember,